Senator Kamala Harris visiting the Iowa Democratic Party booth at the Iowa State Fair on Saturday in Des Moines, Iowa. Photo: Justin Sullivan. Getty Images by Tarini Party. The Wall Street Journal biography updated August 12, 2019, 6:38 p.m. Eastern Time, Mount Pleasant, Iowa, when Sen. Kamala Harris cancelled a visit to Iowa in June for a Senate vote. Some Democratic activists in the state voiced frustration with the Californians' level of investment in the country's first nominating contest. 2 months later, Ms. Harris made 17 stops across 11 counties in 5 days in a bus wrapped in the campaign's pastel, boldface logo spelling out her name. At most stops, she declared to the crowd, "Iowa has made me a better candidate." After a slow start in the state, with Ms. Harris rarely venturing beyond the more populous Des Moines area, her campaign is ramping up its presence and its message against President Trump, but still lags organizationally behind much more established candidates. The campaign, which had been focusing more on South Carolina, now has 7 offices with 65 paid staffers in Iowa and launched her first TV ad last week, the first top-tier presidential candidate to buy airtime in the state. Her organization was perceived as a little bit slow for someone in her position, said Jeff Faggett, chairman of the Iowa Democrats in Henry County, where Ms. Harris held a rally with nearly 400 people in attendance. The county is one of the smallest in the state. "She's starting to catch up," he said. Ms. Harris's renewed investments in Iowa come as the most recent public poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden maintaining a tenuous lead in the state, with Massachusetts Sen. Elizabeth Warren on his heels, and Ms. Harris on the rise but still a distant third. Nationally, Ms. Harris has dipped in polls after the bump from her first debate performance. Related Capital Journal, Trump's primary advantage is no real competition. Political Intelligence 2020 Democrats get a fair hearing in Iowa rather than aiming at her Democratic foes in the contest. Ms. Harris has in her Iowa events focused more on making a direct case against Mr. Trump, calling his ego fragile, and condemning his rhetoric as divisive. A majority of Democrats in the state, who tend to be liberal and overwhelmingly white, say they are prioritizing a candidate's ability to take on the president over the issues, polls show. "Dude gotta go," Ms. Harris said at her rallies, laying out the rap sheet against him. The crowd at some events chanted the line back to her. Decided Democrats picked up on her focus on Mr. Trump, based on more than 24 interviews at the Iowa State Fair and at Ms. Harris's events. Those who said they had recently added her to their list of top choices said they did so because they liked her toughness and believed she could take on the president. "She's going after the right guy," said Judy Hawk, 73, a retired resident of Burlington who attended a Harris rally in Mount Pleasant with some of her family members. Democratic activists and strategists have been stunned by the organizing juggernaut Ms. Warren has already developed in the state, but many still believe the race remains fluid for the top-tier candidates, especially with Mr. Biden continuing to make unforced errors that are raising questions about his age. Share your thoughts. How much should Democratic candidates focus their messages on criticizing President Trump versus focusing on policy issues? Join the conversation below. Related video: a new WSJ-NBC News poll shows growing support among Democrats for a presidential candidate who can beat President Trump. WSJ's Gerald F. Sieb explains. Photo: Getty. Many of those undecided Iowans interviewed by the Wall Street Journal over the last week brought up Ms. Harris, along with Ms. Warren and South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg as the most appealing alternatives to Mr. Biden. Asked in an interview on her bus about Mr. Biden's gaffes, Ms. Harris did not engage. "I'll leave it to his campaign to explain it," she said. Making stops across the state, Ms. Harris introduced herself to patrons at a bar in Sioux City, or ordered tacos during a tour of local businesses in Storm Lake, flipped pork chops at the Iowa State Fair in Des Moines, swayed and clapped to the music at a Baptist church, and inspected a vegetable patch at a farm in Lacona. "I can feel the momentum," Ms. Harris said in the interview. "I really feel like the people of Iowa have been very interested and responsive." As part of her 3 a.m. agenda, proposals for resolving the issues people wake up worrying about, Ms. Harris also held one event each day focused on a different policy issue, from health care in Burlington to affordable housing in Des Moines. Ms. Harris speaking at a health care event in Burlington, Iowa on Monday. Photo: Daniel Acker, Bloomberg News. Ms. Harris is competing for support with Ms. Warren, who is known for having by far the largest Iowa operation and attracting massive crowds in recent days. Ms. Warren is also known for her ambitious liberal policy plans, so Ms. Harris used her own policy events to pitch herself as the progressive, yet problem-solving candidate with a less disruptive approach. She balanced that with rallies in the evenings, where she went after Mr. Trump more. Still, Ms. Harris is facing at least 3 other heavyweight campaigns who have already had a major presence in the state, said Sean Bagniewski, chairman of the Polk County Democrats. "The essential question is what they're wanting to do in Iowa. Do they want to win it, or do they want to place well?" he said. "It feels like more of a place well kind of thing right now," Ms. Harris's campaign brushed off questions about measuring their operation against those of other candidates. "That is simply a distraction," said Deidre DeJay, the campaign's Iowa chairwoman and a former basketball coach. "You plan for your game," she said. The campaign got a boost Saturday with an endorsement from influential activists Bob and Sue Dvorsky, who had been aggressively courted by all the major campaigns. Mr. Dvorsky is a former state senator, and Ms. Dvorsky previously served as the state party chairwoman. They endorsed then-Sen. Barack Obama early in 2007. While walking around the state fair with Ms. Harris, Ms. Dvorsky said in an interview that she was the complete package that could excite the base and defeat Mr. Trump. Ms. Harris touring the Coyote Run farm in Lacona, Iowa. Photo: Justin Sullivan, Getty Images. "You make a caucus decision with your gut and your heart," she said. "She just does it first. And when we hear her talk, I think, my God, we're going to come out of this, and we're going to be behind her when we do it." Minutes later, Ms. Dvorsky guided Ms. Harris to a booth to cast her kernel, an unscientific poll of the presidential race at the fair. Surrounded by cameras, Ms. Harris said, "This is obviously not a secret vote." Throwing a kernel in her jar, she added, "I do believe in me though." A whiteboard with the standings at the time had her in 4th place. A fairgoer casts the kernel in an unscientific poll of the presidential race at the Iowa State Fair. Photo: Justin Sullivan, Getty Images. Right to Torini. Party at Torini. Party at WSJ.com. Copyright 2019 Dow Jones.